this is my types of poetry video, and there are many different forms of poetry, different periods of time, and different languages. There's all different kind of poetry, and one of the ways the book says is that Lee Young Lee was Chinese, but he writes non-native English. So that just shows how different poetry can be. And I just used Song of Solomon 4:1-7. It's just wrote in such a different time. So one of my first major supporting details, or a different type of poetry, would be lyric poetry. And lyric poetry is just a short poem that's sometimes written in first person, where we can really picture what the poem is saying. And sometimes it's, pretty lyrical to where you can have actual lyrics to go with it. So they just use the Song of Solomon in the book, and I just use The Secret of Life. It literally is saying a song to God. It's literally a song, just like the Song of Solomon says song in the title. This is actually The Secret of Life, but it's said to translate to Song of God. Song to God, sorry. Another major supporting detail or type of poetry I have is epic poetry, and it's just a long narrative poem recited publicly. Because in the old days they didn't have it all wrote down. They had to recite it publicly, and everyone had to come listen. So in the book, their examples they gave me were Iliad and Odyssey and Aeneid from Rome. And I tried to find one, and I chose My Last Duchess by Ferrara. And I just felt like it was a good poem to be read aloud, and it's pretty long, and they said that the epic poetries were pretty lengthy. I think the last one I have is dramatic poetry, and it's just where the character addresses another character or the reader. You're not just reading, you're reading some dialogue and stuff like that, so it's a little different. In the book, they use My Last Duchess by Robert Browning, and he created a character speaking instead of just him saying what she said. And the example I used was Bob Southey, You're a Poet, and he uses monologue to make it like a voice, exactly what they were saying in the My Last Duchess. Yeah. So that is my types of poetry video.